Thank you, Indrani, all the way from India, Nepal. No, she stays here. She stays here. And thanks to all of you for coming out Sunday afternoon at 5 o'clock in Spanish Fork, Utah. Thanks to those who download these talks as podcasts on iTunes. We invite your comments, correspondence, and feedback by emails at utahkrishnas@gmail.com. We have a membership class at our website, utahkrishnas.org. I'd like to thank those that have taken the membership class, become members. Couldn't do what we do without your help and support. Everything is inspired by the teachings of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is the founder and chair of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Om Aganati Manandasyan Ganangana Sarakya Chaksurim Militam Yana Tasmai Sri Gurave Naham Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yarabhutare Sayam Rupa Karamyam Darati Swaparandikam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. I'd like to talk to you this afternoon about how you're spending your time. Would you agree with me that time is our most valuable commodity, more valuable even than money? You can make money, but you can't make more time. Scripture tells us to redeem the time. That means don't waste it. Don't live this life unfocused, undisciplined, unmotivated. We have a responsibility to use our time wisely. We're not always going to be here. This human form of life, the time that we have, our 22,000 days on the average, is a gift. Our question is, are you living your life fully with purpose and passion, pursuing your God-centered dreams? Or are you distracted, indifferent, just doing whatever comes along, in a job you don't like, hanging out with people that are pulling you down? That's not redeeming the time. That's wasting the time. Just like you spend money, you're spending your life. In the Nectar of Devotion lecture that Prabhupada, our guru, gave one time in Vrindavan, he said these words: we should not waste our time a single moment. Time is very valuable. In your country, they say time is money. So either you take money, that is the profit, or you take Paramatta, the supreme profit. Money is required in the material world, and in the spiritual world, spiritual assets are required. So some way or other, even those who are materialists, they don't waste their time. How much more then should spiritualists be cautious about how they spend their time, knowing that this human form of life is a rare, valuable, and unique opportunity to become self-realized and at the end of life go back home, back to God. So if materialists don't waste their time, then spiritualists certainly shouldn't waste their time. And in a book that Prabhupada wrote called The Nectar of Instruction, he indicates ways that we waste time. Prajalpo niyamagraha janashangascha, associating with ordinary persons who are not interested in spiritual cultivation. People in general, Prabhupada explains, they have no taste for God or Krishna. They just generally waste their time talking 3 hours on some political situation. Does that sound reminiscent? He spoke this like 50 years ago. So they have got enough time to discuss newspaper, to scroll through Facebook, but when they are invited to hear some class about God, they don't have enough time. You're either investing your time or you're wasting it. There's no middle ground. The first step towards investing your time is to set goals, both short-term goals as well as long-term goals. What do you want to accomplish this coming week? That's a short-term goal. Where do you want to be 5 years from now? That's a long-term goal. Do you have a plan? And if so, are you taking steps to get there? Don't go another 3 years on a job you don't like, doing something that you're not passionate about. Life is flying by. You don't get a makeover. We can't relive our 20s, relive our 30s, relive our 40s. Once this day is over, we can never get it back. It said, make the most of every opportunity. Don't be vague and thoughtless. Live purposefully and accurately. Prahlad Maharaj, a devotee of the Lord, who started his spiritual cultivation as early as possible in the womb of his mother, he started hearing about Krishna and topics spiritual. He said these words in the 7th canto of our scripture, Srimad Bhagavatam, in Sanskrit, Tata yete ta purusha semaya bhavamasrita saranam purusham yavam na vipajeta pushkalam. He said that people are generally engaged in improving their economic situation. These people, they're simply wasting time for temporary bodily improvements in the area of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Ahara, nidya, bayam, mitam. That is not intelligent, because our time can be used for a much, much greater goal than simply material comforts. He says every moment is so valuable that if we lose one moment, we cannot get it back, even if we offer thousands and thousands of gold coins. This people don't understand. If you're going to reach your highest potential, you have to be an on-purpose person. You know where you're going. You're not vague, distracted, waiting to see what happens. No, you're focused. You're making the most of each and every opportunity. Let me be more practical. Going on social media for hours a day, catching up with the latest gossip is not redeeming the time. Playing video games every day when you could be studying scripture, cultivating your God consciousness is not redeeming the time. Talking on your cell phone hours a day to a friend that's not going anywhere, has no dreams, is not redeeming the time. I heard about a man recently who prided himself on being exceedingly punctual. He followed a very precise routine every morning. His alarm went off at 6 a.m. He rose, briskly shaved, showered, ate his breakfast, brushed his teeth, picked up his briefcase, got into his car, drove to a nearby ferry landing, parked his car, rode across on the ferry to downtown business area, got off the ferry, walked smartly down the street to his building, marched into the elevator, rode to the 17th floor, hung up his coat, opened his briefcase, spread his papers on his desk, and sat down in his chair at precisely 8 a.m. Not 8:01, not 7:59, always at 8 a.m. And he followed that exact routine for 8 years until one morning his alarm did not go off. He slept 15 minutes late, and when he did awake, he was panic-stricken. He rushed through his shower, nicked himself while he shaved, gulped down his breakfast, only halfway brushed his teeth, grabbed up his briefcase, jumped into his car, sped to the ferry landing, jumped out of his car, looked at the ferry, and there it was, out in the water, about 15 feet from the shore. He said to himself, I can make it. And he ran full speed towards the dock, and reaching the edge of the water, he gave an enormous leap and launched himself out into the water and miraculously landed with a loud thud on the deck of the ferry. The captain rushed down to make sure he was all right. Son, that was a tremendous leap, the captain said. But if you would have waited another 15 seconds, we would have been at the dock. Yes, time is important to us. Prahlad Maharaj goes on. He says, Krishna allows us 70 years on average. You ladies get an extra 7 years. Right living. The first 20 years are spent in childhood and early adolescence. The last 10 years, physical limitations curtail our activities, take away the time we spend sleeping, eating, watching TV and movies, scrolling on social media, getting married, dating, raising children. We're down to almost zero time left for the all-important mission of the human life. Time is short. Krishna, or God, has given us a present. It's called today. Now, what are we going to do with it? This is a call to action, to get focused, get organized, set your goals, make your plans. Krishna could have chosen anyone to come here today, but he chose you because he wants you to get the message of living an organized, God-centered life. Again, Prahlad Maharaj talked about the difference between matter and spirit. Janmadiyasya yadaha, drishtadeyasya natmanam, phalanam eva vrikshasya. Everything in the material world goes through 6 changes, from the ant to the universe itself: birth, growth, duration, reproduction, and vanishing. Compare this to a mango tree. The mango, in spring, it sprouts little buds and little leaves and little flowers. And as spring progresses into summer, the fruits become bigger and bigger, riper and riper, and ultimately become edible. They're delicious. But now fall and winter follow, and the tree gets barren again. The whole cycle is repeated the next spring. So the leaves, the buds, the flowers, the blossoms, and the fruits come and go. But what stays the same year after year, season after season? It is the tree itself. There are trees still existing. I looked it up in Wikipedia in connection with a talk I gave about 3 weeks ago. There are trees on the planet that are over 5,000 years old. Now, they're not eternal, but compared to the leaves and the flowers and the fruits, they're basically a good analogy to show us the difference between matter and spirit. You are an eternal spirit soul. You are like the trunk of the tree, and this body goes through various seasons, from childhood to boyhood to youth and then to old age. We're concerned in the current consumeristic society only with the external, the material body and the mind, and totally neglectful. We totally overlook our real selves, our spiritual selves. That's not ultimately highly intelligent. When the mango is finished, the tree is not finished. The tree is still there when the mango is finished. Similarly, when this body dies, when it falls down someday, you will not die. You will still be there because God created you in his image. God is described by Lord Brahma, the creator of the universe, as Sat Chit Ananda. He's full of knowledge, bliss, and he's eternal. We're emanations from him, and like sparks from a fire who have the same qualities of light and heat as does the fire, we also are little sparks of knowledge, bliss, and eternity. So we are like the tree, and our bodies are like the fruits. I read where the average person spends over 80 hours a year looking for things they misplaced. Car keys, cell phones, glasses, receipts, masks, children. Somebody said the reason Krishna or God gives babies to young people is because older people would forget where they left them. Do yourself a favor, save at least 80 hours a year by getting organized. Redeem that time. When we go to bed at night, we should ask ourselves, did I live a well-spent day? Did I take steps towards becoming God-conscious and uplifting my fellow living beings? Was I a blessing to someone? Did I honor the Lord? Did I invest my time, or did I waste my time? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We all know people who are incredibly talented, who have great potential, but they're not disciplined when it comes to how they spend their time. They have good intentions, but they're easily distracted and end up off course. Every day there are 1,000 things that you can give your time to, but you have to be disciplined and stay focused on what's best for your eternal spiritual self. If you don't, you'll end up chasing the latest trend, trying to keep up with your friend, entangled with things that are not part of your destiny. I heard about a man walking through the airport on the way to catch his flight to Boston. He saw a sign on the terminal wall and a little machine there said, "Know your future, 25 cents. He was intrigued by it, and he walked over and put a quarter in the slot. The computer readout said, "Your name is John Smith. You're on the 2:20 flight to Boston." He was amazed. "My name is John Smith. I am on the 2:20 flight to Boston. How did this machine know that?" He thought he saw a friend of his. He called him over, put another quarter in the slot, and again a slip came out. "You're John Smith. You're on the 2:20 flight to Boston." His friend couldn't care less. He just shrugged his shoulders and went away. But this man wanted to do a hat trick. He wanted to verify it for a third time, but he didn't have a third quarter. So he walked down the hallway to the newsstand to get change. There was a line. He waited and waited and waited. Finally, he got his quarter. He came back, put it in the slot, and this time the printout read, "Your name is John Smith, and you just missed the 2:20 plane to Boston." Stay focused. It's easy to get sidetracked by things that pull you off course. You look up and the day is gone. The year is gone. 20 years, whole seasons of your life gone like water under the bridge. Nothing would be sadder than to come to the end of your life and think, why did I waste so many days? Why didn't I live more profitably, more focused? Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 11th chapter, 33rd verse, Prabhupada talks about Lord Brahma, the lifespan of Brahma, the creator of the universe. Sahasra yuga paryantam aharyad brahmano vidu, ratramuga sahasram teho ratra vidarjanam. In the Bhagavad Gita, it says that Lord Brahma, his one day is a kalpa. A kalpa is a cosmic season. It's 4 ages, like we have spring, summer, winter, and fall. But the cosmic seasons, when there are 4 of them are added up, come to 4,300,000 years. So that's one cycle. Now, Lord Brahma's one day is 4 million, one kalpa, 300,000 years, times 1,000. And then his complete day and night is that figure times 2. His week is that figure times 7. His month is that figure times 12. And he lives for about 100 years. Now, at the end of Lord Brahma's life, do you know what his thought is? How did it go so fast? So Lord Brahma himself is keenly aware of the passage of time. He, with a lifespan of approximately 311 trillion years, does not waste a moment of his time. He feels the imperative of impending death and wants to capitalize the human form of life to get the highest possible profit. And that is to release oneself from the clutches of the illusory energy. Now, humans, unlike animals who have no responsibility, they are keenly aware of the passage of time. And if we miss our opportunity to engage in the devotional service of the Lord, then the blacksmith, the black snake, which is hovering just over each and every one of our heads, will strike us in the middle of all of our materialistic accumulative plans. Prabhupada says this is a kind of a madness that infects human society. No responsibility for how I will be situated after I leave this current body. Prabhupada says a human being who does not develop a responsibility before he dies is no better than an animal or a madman who tries to enjoy material life very happily without thinking of the future. It is necessary that especially those who are human beings be responsible in this life, preparing for the next life, even if one has a duration of life like that of Lord Brahma, the greatest of living creatures within the universe. Well, make this decision with me that you're going to redeem the time. We have a responsibility. Krishna has entrusted us with this rare, valuable human form of life. God breathed his life into you, put gifts and talents on the inside. Each and every one of you has seeds of greatness. You're not just on this planet to breathe oxygen and take up space. You're a person of destiny. And with that gift of life comes a responsibility to develop your talents, pursue your dreams, to become who God's created you to be. On a regular basis, we need to reevaluate, refocus our lives. Here it is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 3rd chapter, 17th verse, Ayaharati vaipam sham ujam ashtam chashu tasyano yatsano utama shloka vartaya. Both by the rising and setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone except one who utilizes the time by discussing the topics of the all-good personality of God. Prabhupada says, This verse confirms the greater importance of utilizing the human form of life to realize our lost relationship with the Supreme Lord by acceleration of devotional service. Time and tide wait for no man. The time indicated by the sunrise and the sunset will be uselessly wasted if such time is not properly utilized for realizing identification of spiritual values. The human life is specifically awarded to the living entity, the jiva, so that he can realize his spiritual identity and his permanent source of happiness. We're all seeking happiness because happiness is a natural condition of the soul. The problem is we're seeking happiness in the wrong place. It's like looking for water in the desert. The eternal spirit soul can never find happiness in the temporal material world. It is said, don't let the sun go down on your anger. The reason many people don't have any joy, no enthusiasm, it's because they go to bed every night with anger, with unforgiveness in their heart, reliving the hurts, thinking about their disappointments. Now here's the problem. If the sun goes down with anger, if the sun goes down with bitterness, it'll come back up in the morning with anger, with bitterness. If it goes down with resentment, it comes back up with resentment. That's blocking God's or Krishna's blessings, keeping you from the bright future that he intends for you. If you want the sun to shine regularly and brightly in your life, before you go to bed each night, you need to say, Krishna, God, I'm releasing every negative thing that happened to me today. I'm releasing every hurt, every worry. I'm releasing every disappointment, forgiving the people that did me wrong. Krishna, I'm going to go to bed in peace. In Sanskrit, that's called Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And when you do that, the sun will go down with nothing blocking it. When it comes back up the next morning, you'll have a new spring in your step. Be excited about your day, ready for your future. Don't go to bed at night with any sort of defeat still in your mind. No matter what kind of setbacks you have, no matter who does you wrong, you don't have to drag through life defeated, depressed, bitter. Start redeeming the time. Start thanking Krishna that he's in control. Thank him that new doors are opening. Thank him that favor is coming your way. Now, it's not only important how we spend our time, but it's also important with whom we spend our time. To redeem your time might mean that you have to prune off some relationships that are not adding value to your life. Don't hang around people that are not going anywhere, have no goals, no dreams, people who are not focused, not disciplined, people who compromise, people who take the easy way out. If you tolerate mediocrity, mediocrity is going to rub off on you. If you hang out with jealous, critical, unhappy people, guess what? You'll end up jealous, critical, unhappy. In the third canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, 31st chapter, 32nd verse, Prabhupada says these words, generally, people are concerned with the satisfaction of the tongue and the satisfaction of the genitals. That is material life. Material life means eat, drink, and be merry with no concern for understanding one's spiritual identity. Since materialistic people are concerned with the tongue, the belly, and the genitals, if anyone wants to advance in spiritual life, he must be very careful about associating with such people. To associate with such materialistic men is to commit purposeful suicide in the human form of life. Therefore, it is said that an intelligent person should give up such undesirable association and should always mix with saintly persons. It is said that when you walk with wise men, you will become wise. Now, take a look at your friends. That's what you're going to be like in a few years. If your friends are winners, leaders, successful, if they have a spirit of excellence, integrity, positive, they think all these things of you, apparently. It's getting bruises from all the elbowing, then those good qualities are going to rub off on you. When you're with them, you're investing your time. They're making you better. But if you hang out with people who are sloppy, undisciplined, unmotivated, not going anywhere, can I give you a piece of advice? Find some new friends. You cannot become who Krishna or God created you to be hanging out with them. They may be good people at heart, but your destiny is too great, your assignment too important, your time too valuable to let them drag you down. Some of you, the only thing that's keeping you from a new level of your destiny is wrong friendships. You cannot hang out with chickens and expect to soar like an eagle. Now, you don't have to go up to them and make some big announcement and go tell them, hey man, I'm cutting you off. Caru over at the Krishna temple said, I got to get rid of you. Don't do that to me, please. Do me a favor. Leave my name out of it. But you can just gradually start spending less and less and less time with them. Well, Caru, what if I hurt their feelings? What if they keep you from your destiny? I heard about a lady. She was reevaluating her friendships. Her answering machine said, I'm sorry I missed your call. I'm making some changes in my life. If I don't call you back, please know that you are one of those changes. Now, here's the key. If you don't let go of the wrong people, you'll never meet the right people. Sometimes we can outgrow a friendship. It was good at one time. For a few years, we were fulfilled. But now you've grown more than they have. There are people who come into our life like scaffolding. They're designed to be there for a time. I'm not talking about marriage. Don't misunderstand me. I'm talking about friendships. And these people, for a period of time, they help us grow. They inspire us. They motivate us just like that scaffolding. But at some point, the scaffolding has to come off the building. If the scaffolding stayed up, the building would never be what it was meant to be. Appreciate the people that helped you. Always honor them. But be big enough to recognize when their part in your story is over. On a regular basis, we need to reevaluate our friendships, the people we choose to spend time with. You may know all kinds of people, have lots of acquaintances. That's good. But be careful who you allow in your inner circle. You can't have 20 best friends. The higher you go, the lonelier it is said it is at the top. The more successful you are, the tighter your circle needs to become. You may have 20 people you call friends, and that's great, but the 2 or 3 out of them that you choose to be close to you, you need to make sure they're 150% for you. They believe in you. They stick up for you. They're with you through thick and thin. It could be that you're not seeing Krishna's best because your team is weak. You're investing valuable time in people who were never supposed to be part of your inner circle. You have to evaluate your friendships. Get the right people in the right positions. If your team is weak, you're going to be weak. You cannot afford to have people in your inner circle saying, do you really think you're going to get well? My grandmother died of the same thing. Do you really think you're going to get out of debt? Business is so slow during the pandemic. No, you need people who resonate in spirit with you. People that will say, hey, if you're bold enough to believe it, count on me. I'm bold enough to agree with you. You need people who will join faith with you and not try to talk you out of your God-given dream. Surround yourself with believers, people that will understand your assignment. If you have people close to you that are constantly pulling you down, telling you what you can't do, how you'll never accomplish your dream, understand that it is entirely scriptural to show them the door. It may be difficult, but you have to have the attitude, I cannot fulfill my destiny with your critical spirit in my life. I cannot become who I was created to be with you dragging me down. I love you, but I cannot allow you in my inner circle. I'm going to love you from a distance. You need to pay attention to who's on your team, who's speaking in your life, who are you giving time and attention to. More practical, who are you eating lunch with every day at the office? Who are you talking to on the phone so much? Are they building you up or tearing you down? Are they pushing you towards your destiny, or are they just telling you what you can't do? Are they modeling excellence, integrity, character, godliness, or are they lazy, sloppy, undisciplined? You have a responsibility to redeem your time. Don't waste it with people that don't sharpen you. You have to politely show them the door, otherwise they're going to keep you from your destiny. And sometimes we know a person's not good for us. We know they're dragging us down, but we think, if I let them go, I'm going to be lonely. And yes, you may be lonely for a season, but you'll never give up something for Krishna or God without Him eventually giving you something much better back in return. Krishna will not only give you new friends, but He'll give you better friends. People that inspire you, people that celebrate you, people that push you forward. When we come to the end of our days, Krishna is going to ask us, what did we do with the time that He entrusted us with? Did we develop our gifts and talents? Did you accomplish your assignment? How did you spend your life? It's not going to be a good excuse to say, Krishna, I got distracted. My friend got me off course. Krishna, I lived bitter, but I had a good reason because somebody betrayed me. Krishna, I was negative, but my company let me go. No, we're asking you tonight to quit making excuses and start redeeming the time. We're not always going to be here. Our life is like a mist. We're here for a moment and then we're gone. Make this decision that you're going to be an on-purpose person. Set your God-centered goal and be disciplined to stick with it. Don't waste any more days. Prune off those relationships that are not adding value to your life. Don't go to bed at night with any kind of defeat, bitterness, or negativity still in your mind. The human form of life is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. This day is a gift. Make sure you're investing it and not wasting it. If you do this, I believe the seeds of greatness on the inside are going to take root and begin to flourish. You'll rise higher, overcome every obstacle, become everything that Krishna has created you to be in this life, and next life, you'll go back to home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thanks for your kind attention. You're welcome to stand up and stretch it. We're going to do a little more chanting and then go downstairs for a vegetarian meal. And if you have any questions, you'll have an opportunity to ask them then. So go ahead and stand and use the space to social distance safely as well. Your Devoted Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Shri Hari Thakur ki jai. Prem Sikho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita